Well, hi everybody, Bill here from Today in Iowa, and boy am I excited to share some news with you. Yep, the pond leak is finally repaired. This isn't my pond, I wish it was, but this is Fountain Hills, Arizona. I was out there last March. This pond is 50 years old, and I wanted to share the photo with you opening on this final video of pond repairs. If you ever get a chance, go on out. It's a very welcoming community. You know, I can't believe it's 3 years ago this month that I started to renovate the pond. This is what it looked like before. It was stagnated, it leaked. It was pretty bleak looking, wasn't it? And I jokingly thought, well, it'll take me 3 years to renovate this, and I'm surprised how close that was to the actual timeline. Well, this can be a very short video for you if you just want to see the results. Here they are. I just took this a few days ago. The pond is all done. The water has risen 12 to 16 inches. Conservatively speaking. I built a coffee drinking dock you can see over there on the other side of the pond. Put a few duck boxes in, hoping they're going to nest here this year. I put a new exit pipe in with advice from a viewer in Australia. And I was even able to get the running water sound, listen. Oh, that's nice. That I wanted with the renovation too. Well, that's the short version. If you'd like to see the longer version on how I finally accomplished getting the pond to not leak, please join me today in Iowa. Hey, honey, how about a cup of coffee?
No, thanks.
I guess I'll get my own. Well, there it is, 36 months ago. I won't go back to that video anymore. It just looked so bleak. And here it was last fall, about 6 months ago. The top of the dike started to erode. And so I was very frustrated with a recent excavator I'd got hooked up with. He did one thing right. He ran this plastic pipe from the spring-fed pond, and we dropped it off the backside of the dike so I could get rid of it. I rented a pump from a friend, and I started pumping the water down. So between the pump and changing the direction of the spring-fed water on the backside of the dike, the water level started to go down quite nicely. Frustrated, I thought I'm going to dig this thing out with my 2038. There's the plastic pipe I was making reference to. Take note of the vertical pieces of wood that are holding it. The water's going to rise equal to or above that in some places. That's how much higher that water is going to rise. Now as we get over near the spring-fed part, you're going to see a small plastic box that was put in there, clay mounded around that. It collects the water, and then it goes down that white pipe and then across and dumps in on the back side of the dike. Very effective, works very nice, and I didn't know what I was going to do with all this pipe. I wanted to get my running water noise back, and you saw in the beginning I was able to do that. The answer was right in front of me after I removed all the pipe. Now this hillside is just mush. There's a lot of spring here. You can see there I got stuck with the tractor trying to mow that, so keep that in mind as we go. So I got the 2038 out, and I thought we're just going to dig this up and see where it leads us. You're going to see this hole is a lot bigger than I originally thought. I'm surprised that I didn't fall through there, either walking across or driving the utility vehicle across there, now that I see this opening up. And as I'm digging along here, I find some voids, and I'll try to point those out to you because I was expecting to dig down here and find a smoking gun, to find the crevice. Where is all this water going? And you can kind of see to the right of my bucket over there, there's an opening that has a big void in it. You can see I'm not digging a lot of dirt out here, am I? So we're going to speed the digging rate up. We're 3 times normal speed here to keep things interesting. But again, notice how things are opening up and there's voids over there to the right. So that was the first hole I found. Okay, once again, I've sped this up now 3 times as fast. And I had viewers through this whole process tell me it's running down that smooth pipe. That was the wrong pipe to use. Should have put a seep collar around it. So as I'm digging here along that pipe, I'm expecting to find a bigger hole or some kind of raceway or waterway showing me where that water was going. I know this video isn't about the 270B backhoe, but here I'm really enjoying the longer reach and digging depth. Let me look at this. 7 foot is the digging depth, and 9'9" is the reach. So that's a little bit nicer versus the 1025. Well, here was a surprise. How in the world did that big stone get in there? I don't remember when I was doing the digging originally seeing that. So that's not wise, is it? Gosh, I sure like having a backhoe. It's just a lot of fun. That's all there is to it. Nice to push those rocks. That's a pretty heavy rock. Pushes it right away there, and I like the longer reach again. Having a hoe is so handy. There's another crevice. See, take a look to the left of the backhoe. See the hole there? That's what I find throughout this whole dig. I don't find any canal or anything connected like I was looking for. Well, then I got my yard probe out. I wanted to see what the next foot or 16 inches would look like. And it's just all milky clay, almost the consistency of oatmeal. So I thought I would continue to dig, get on the other side of that pipe. Now I'm playing around here again. I like learning as I'm going on these projects, and I'm intentionally striking that pipe so I can get the feel on my bucket, so that when I don't want to hit a pipe and I actually hit it, maybe I'll feel that. Here's a seat view. Again, I'm trying to dig that out and experience hitting a pipe and how that feels on your controls. You can feel that, and so that'll be just added to my experience. Alright, so I keep digging that pipe out, and look at this. This is probably the closest thing I came to proving some viewers were correct. See the void, and it's following that pipe, isn't it? So from the pond, going along that pipe, that doggone water was going through there. So let's take some plugs around that, and this is really disappointing. It just pulled up just muck and mud, and look at how soft it is through there. So no surprise, it's just kind of confirming what we thought was going to be there. Very poor soil. So I left this shot in here. I think this puts my digging in perspective of how big a hole we're digging with the 2038. And we're opening it up pretty good. This is day 1. This is going to bridge a couple days, but this is day 1. And we're doing a pretty good job here with that hoe of making that exposed and getting it open. Yep. All right, I've gotten far enough that I'm going to take the Sawzall out here now, and we're going to saw this pipe up and look underneath it. Now, a little background. Remember that Sawzall that I dropped in the water in another video? It's still working just fine. Here it is. And I just dried it out, and it works perfectly. So I'm going to yank the pipe up and look underneath. It's real soft material, just muck. Obviously no redeeming value for trying to be effective on a dike, is it? So again, confirming what we thought, and some viewers told me that smooth pipe really wasn't the best to use. All right, here's day 2. I had a contractor that I found that has some experience with ponds, and he brought his skid steer down, and now we're going to move dirt a lot faster. Our plan is to take the dirt from around that exit pipe, and we're going to put it around the west side of the bank there, and I'm going to build a little road, and I'll be able to get in there with my tractor or side-by-side or riding mower and mow that bank and maintain that bank. That'll be pretty nice. Now take a look at the depth there of where that track that trackster is and where the current water level is. After we fix the pond, you're going to see it's probably going to be within about 10 inches of where that Backhoe is. So I think you're going to be as surprised as I was when I saw it rise. All right, Larry's going to start hauling clay back to the site here where we're going to need it in a little bit. But I wanted to explain that our goal now is to dig back to the original dike before I dug through it here some time ago. I looked at the video last night and made reference to these trees, and that's what we're going to dig out and get back as far. We'll dig as far as we need to get back to original soil. So back on the 2038, you can see I cut that pipe off. So I want to continue removing that. So I removed it, and this vertical pipe probably goes down 24 to 30 feet and drops off in the valley. So what I did was just use the backhoe to pivot that around and get it out of our way. I don't want to dig that out. I don't know if I'll ever use it. Maybe somebody will, but it wasn't glued. It just had a rubber gasket. So the backhoe worked pretty slick there, didn't it, to pivot that around, and that's in place for future use. Okay, so Larry's hauled a few loads of clay in now, and he's going to come down and dig out some of the easier soil for me to get back in and start digging down. I was thinking that we'd get down 4 or 5 feet and be okay based on what some other people had told me. So he's going to get the bank there solid where I feel safe with the hoe being on the side of that, and then I'm going to continue to dig downward. All right, so Larry's got it set up where I feel pretty comfortable parking the backhoe there on it. I'm in good solid ground, nothing loose. I'm very aware of my environment. The outriggers have set down in that very nice, and I'm very aware that if I could pull myself down into that hole, right? So I'm keeping that as mind as I'm digging. Now you can see how easy it is to dig through this loose soil. So I really didn't feel there was very high risk here to do that. So I keep pulling out this muck, this pudding, this very poor soil. And we're probably down here, what, 3 feet, maybe 4 feet? So we're going to continue on here and continue as we go. There's Larry in the background. That pile's going to grow quite a bit. Remember, I purchased 9 tandem dump truck loads of clay and about 9 yards per truck. So there's approximately 80 yards of clay that he's going to bring down. So I'm back to normal speed here. I just wanted to show you what the backhoe, how it operates, and I think it's doing a terrific job. And here we stopped. We're going to look and kind of reevaluate where we're at, and this wasn't very encouraging, was it? A lot of water down there yet, and I'm going to guess we're probably down 5 feet now. So it's kind of like drilling a well, isn't it? You keep digging until you've struck water or fixed it, or you run out of money. So we're going to continue digging. I really appreciate the longer reach on the 2038 here versus the 1025. I don't think I would have tackled this with the 1025 for a couple of reasons. One is obviously the reach, and the other is the weight of the tractor. The 2038 feels good sitting here. I feel like I got some weight behind me. Again, I'm very aware to not pull myself down in the hole and not undermine the tractor. All right, here I'm trying to record how deep we are, and we're getting near 8 feet. And I'm pointing out the water level there. So I'm saying a couple more feet and we're going to be past the 2038's reach. Just wanted to put the clay pile in perspective here, standing next to it. He's getting quite a bit of clay down there. And here I wanted to show you the quality of clay I had. It's very pliable, is that the correct word? Flexible. You can see how I can stretch it around there. I had a soil engineer tell me this is pretty good clay. This is very good clay for a pond. All right, let's take a look at it a couple months later in the workbench. I let it outside to dry. Wow, it really got hard, didn't it? So it took a pretty good whack there to break it, so it dried out nice. I don't quite know what I'm trying to prove there, but I hope it works for me. Well, we give up on the 2038, and Larry went and got a mini excavator. This mini has a reach of 16 feet. I've already showed my cards at the beginning of this video. Obviously, you know we're going to get to dry ground, but let's watch here as we go. Again, you're going to hear my wife ask the question, how deep do we have to go? And it goes back to, well, probably 16 feet or we're out of money. Now I've sped this up too to try to save some time, but I wanted to show you the process. This is 3 times normal speed. As I said before, this project took 2 days, and Larry was a very competent individual. He was the right person to get here on the pond to assist me with getting this leak resolved and fixed. Honestly, while we were digging here, we were getting down around, you know, the 10 and the 12 foot area, and you're going to see me make a reference. We're going to get below the water level, and I had priced out a rubber liner for this pond, and it was only $5,000, and that would be no labor to put it in. But I'm thinking the rubber liner is starting to look pretty good here as we get deeper. Now we're going to go back to normal speed here. I want to show you he's trying to scratch through that dirt and find the original wall before I got involved in it, and we had that one fella come in and fill it in with very poor soil. So that's what he's looking for, is that dry wall. Find that original soil. So there you may have heard me say we're about 12 feet right now, keeping in mind that the Mini has a reach of 16 feet. I'm starting to get a little nervous. Yeah, there's confirmation, 12 feet, and we can go to 16. Still getting some pretty wet, poor soil.
He's just looking for dry. He's just trying. He's cleaning this wall on the side we're on. He wants to get dry over there, and then he'll start bringing it back up.
And that was my wife asking me, when will we know we're done? And I was just trying to explain what we're trying to accomplish here. You know, this reminds me of how disappointed I was with the original contractors that I brought in. Said, yeah, go down 4 feet and pour a wall across there and all your problems will go away, and put that seep collar in there. Well, that surely wasn't the case with us being down there beyond 12 feet, is it?
You don't think this is what the soil is, you know, what
Well, it could be some of that too. Yeah, you could have an ideal place for the pond.
Well, what do you think? The soil is starting to look a little bit drier, isn't it? I'm starting to get a little optimistic here. My wife and I are talking about him going over further and getting rid of those holes that we saw that I pointed out a couple of times, those scouring holes that were left. So, and Larry didn't have to be told that. He took his boom over there and dug those out. He's trying to make that as solid as he can. And I know this might get a little boring, but what I'm trying to show you is the process and how we finally are starting to strike some dry dirt. I honestly didn't know how much deeper we could go because we're below the depth of the pond now. All right, 14 feet. That's when we hit dry dirt. And you can see that we're back to, I'm going to call it the original sides of the dike before I dug through it. And old Larry down there, he's really driving that trackster in there and getting a big load of clay. I'm glad we brought the trackster, the skidster in here for this, because the 2038, it would have been a lot of trips. So Larry's being pretty careful there. He's putting his weight down in front of him and he's just kind of going to scoot that clay over to the hole. And speaking with the geoengineer, our plan is to put enough clay in there, and then we're going to pound it with the excavator in 2-foot lifts. So we'll put enough clay in for about 2 feet, then we're going to pound it and compact it. Here we are. Now I've sped this up to 4 times as fast so we don't all get bored. But I think you'll see what our intention is and how we're doing it. So pound it, shape it in the hole, compact it, and then raise it 2 feet and do it again until we're up and out of the ground. All right, so we're bringing more in here now. Now I've jumped a few lifts ahead. You can see we're we're past a half. Again, it was just repetitious. You just keep pounding on it and beating your way up every couple of feet. You know, there was no water seeping in the hole that we dug. So I think it's reasonable to think we actually have this now. Putting this very good clay in place. We didn't get any water seeping, so we're going to pound it, keep compacting it, and bring it up, and I think we're going to have a good solution here. Then we're going to put a new exit pipe in at another location on the pond that's not as deep. Remember, this dike was over 20-some feet. We're going to go over to an area that is probably only 4 feet. It's only holding back 4 foot of water, in hopes that that's not going to be so much pressure that it's going to want to try to sneak around that pipe. Now this is Sunday, so as we keep going along here, there were no places open where I could buy a larger diameter pipe or longer pipe. So what we're going to install is an 8-inch ribbed drain tile, ribbed on the outside and inside. I had some friends, and I'm going to call them friends, they're viewers, and we went back and forth with emails and gave me some advice on how to correct this. And so I wanted to use the ribbed pipe. I wish I could have got the smooth pipe, but well, I'll explain that more when we get there. And I'm going to do that next spring. I'm pretty excited about some pictures I'm going to show you here at the end from a friend's project, Stephen, up in Quebec, Canada, and what he did with his. It's just beautiful. And I'll bring those pictures in here at the end and show you what he's done. I also had a professional from Australia, and the viewer's name escapes me right now. Now I'll type it in here because I really appreciate what he told me about pond dikes. And he was advocating, get that exit pipe out of that dike. It's just going to give you problems. It's going to continue to erode. And if you have a major failure in that dike, I would have some pretty serious problems, right? Probably walk away from it and say it's somebody else's problem. One thing he pointed out, and I found it very interesting, and we're going to follow his advice, was after this is repaired, to limit the transportation across the dike. What he explained to me is every time a vehicle goes across the dike, there's a vibration, and it, well, for lack of a better term, I understood it as it kind of wicks the water into the dike. You know how you screed concrete, how you will kind of shake the concrete and tap the outside walls and kind of bring the looser water out in the cream? That's what I was visualizing as I was reading his email. To limit the transportation across the dike because of the effect the vibration has on it with bringing water into the dike. So I'm going to mow the top and that's it. We're really going to try to take his advice seriously here. So you can see Larry now has got himself up there to near the end, and he's using a filled bucket on the tractor, and he's going back and forth and just compacting that in. I think it's going very well. I'm pretty excited at this point. Now that's, I'll have to look up and I'll try to post it on the video here. That's, I'll have to see what the weight of that machine is. And with a scoop of that clay in there, he's got some pretty good weight going back and forth there, doesn't he? Here's a little bit wider shot trying to show you what he's been doing as we start getting near the top, and you can see the daylight starting to diminish. As I'm watching the video here, this may have been 3 days. I've forgotten already, to tell you the truth. So the next phase is going to be putting the exit pipe in that shallower end. It looks like maybe that's 4 or 5 feet deep there, doesn't it? So Larry's putting the final details here to his repair. He's just going to take some of that muck and skim it up over the side there and just smooth it out. And you're going to see some lines here pretty soon estimating where that water was going to be when it rose. And it's come up quite a bit, so remember this picture. All right, so we made a determination where we wanted the bottom of the exit pipe, and using a transom we selected that, chose that point, and now we're going to start digging to meet that. All right, you see those orange lines? That's the top of the water, that's the top of the pond water after we get the pipe in place. So I went around the pond here with that device and found out what the height was, and I tried to paint some orange lines around there to see where it would come out at. And look, it's a substantial increase in rise, isn't it? That west bank is so full of water you may be questioning yourself, but the amount of water that's oozing out of that hill continuously is surprising. Likewise with this, where my wife was there, that hill is always oozing water. All right, here's a picture from where the exit pipe's going to be, and look what we found. There was a rubber membrane through there. Now, I wonder what that was about. I wonder if the previous owner used that as a spillway, or did he have a leak? I wonder what the story is with that. Well, anyways, we're going to dig it out and remove all that and muck some of this out now, and then we're going to get our new exit pipe in place. All right, there's my orange line.
That dot's the bottom of the pipe. The bottom of the new
There you
pipe.
go. That was the bottom of the pipe.
And we're going to muck this out.
So what we're going to do is dig a couple of feet beyond the bottom of that pipe, put that nice clay in there, then put the pipe in there, and hopefully we have a good clay collar or clay dike in place for the new exit pipe. So Larry's pounded it in place. And again, like I said, it was a Sunday, and all I had was a piece of drain tile, solid drain tile, that was ribbed on the inside and outside. So there I'm just rechecking the bottom of the pipe. Larry's bringing more clay over. And at the end of this, we used every crumb of this clay, all 9 loads, every bit of it, to make these repairs. I wish I had another couple loads, but I'm not getting greedy. I was sure tickled to have found that clay. Again, I'm going to make reference when the water comes back up, it's going to be up to those wooden stakes. All right, and there's my reference mark. That's going to be the bottom of the pipe. All right, here's just a different view, just to kind of put in perspective of how big a hole we're opening up there for you to see. There you can still see the orange mark kind of establishing bottom of pipe. And look, this is all the clay he brought down. We picked up every bit of it that we could use. And there's our repair. The pipe's gone. That looks real good, doesn't it? And then looking down along the pipe, the dike, excuse me, we're putting the pipe now in place and checking it with the level so I get a little bit of a pitch away from the pond. Now next spring I'm going to put another overflow in. This was late October. The weather was supposed to change significantly and get very cold and some snow and ice. So I wanted to get this done. And you're not seeing things wrong. There's nothing wrong with your eyes there. That flexible pipe has a little jog in it. You can go back and look at that again. We just meandered it through that clay so it would work. All right, here it is. This was just like less than a week later, and we got real cold. We got some snow. It was a very cold Halloween here for the kids. But this is just the start now of getting things back filling up. You can see the spring now is dumping in on the bank and running back into the pond instead of over. Here's just a general overview of our work. And that noise in the back, there's nothing wrong with your hearing. That's a corn dryer. That's a farmer drying his corn up the road a little ways. It's almost like a white noise when you live here. You don't even hear it. There's our pipe sticking out. Now I want to show you an exciting picture. Remember this. Now look at my friend's pond up in Quebec, Canada. Isn't this beautiful? Here's what he did with his. He put a shelf in there, and he put a liner in it. Then he put this flat stone in there and stacked that up there along that. And I asked Stephen if I could steal his idea, and he said, you sure can. And that is what I'm going to do right there. We're going to do that next spring, if everything holds up, on my pond, and that's going to look very nice. I built some duck boxes. The ducks will come back in March, so I want to get those up in place so they're here for them. And I bought some floating chambers to build a small dock so we can fish off of it, or in this case drink coffee. Now another thing I did was I extended that white pipe around and I deposited it in front of the overflow pipe, because you can see the water's starting to freeze now, and I thought, well, maybe that'll keep that from freezing and creating problems. And did you note the water is back up to those wooden stakes now? And over to the right, it's back up into the grass. So it's raised an honest 2 feet. And you know, it's keeping the exit from freezing. That was just a guess, but that seems to be working pretty good, doesn't it? That was just a lucky call on my part. Now, I recorded this in January and February and wanted to share it with you. This is hard winter here in Iowa. And I wanted to show you how well that depositing that spring water at that exit pipe worked. So that worked out pretty well, I thought. It kept it open. I was worried about what the effect of the ice was going to be on that exit pipe, if it was going to raise it and tear it up. There's another shot of the spring box. It's collecting water. Going to take you back in time. Remember, there's Larry putting it in originally. You can see how far it came up. Remember when you put the road in, it came up all within 12 inches of that. So really a terrific project. You know, I've taken a lot of your time here the past 3 years. Thank you so much for following me in this pond project. I sincerely appreciate it. Check back in six months and we'll see what I've done next. So long, everybody.